Very well.
More gold
What is it now?
required.
What, mortal? Greetings. What is it now? What, mortal? Greetings. What is it now? That was my
Our
plan.
allies' town is under siege.
What, mortal? Very well. Agreed. That was my plan.
Where shall my blood be spilled?
Agreed. What? I must hunt soon. You thought of that? Greetings. What is it now? Agreed. Greetings. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? I must hunt soon. Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. What, mortal? What, mortal? That was my plan. What is it now? Greetings. Agreed. You thought of that? What is it now? You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Greetings. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. What, mortal? Greetings. Must hunt soon. Agreed. That was my plan. What, mortal? I must hunt soon. You thought of that?
Our allies' town is under siege.
Greetings. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. What is it now? What? You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. Greetings. That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? What is it now? Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed.
Our allies' town is under siege.
That was my Greetings. Very well. What is it now?
Our allies'
was
town
my
is under
plan.
siege.
What, mortal? You thought of that? That was my plan. What is it now?
Our allies' town is under siege.
Greetings. Agreed. I must hunt soon.
More gold is required. More gold is required.
What is it now? Greeting. Greetings. What is it now? That was my plan. Agreed. What more? That was my plan. I must hunt soon. Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed.
Our allies' town is under siege.
What, mortal? Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. What is it now? What, mortal? Very well. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. Greetings. Very well.
Our allies' hero
You
has
thought
fallen.
of that? Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. That was
Our
my
allies'
plan.
town is under siege.
What, mortal? Very well. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Greetings. That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Very well. Greetings. What is it now? That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. I hunger. Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? What, mortal? What is it now? What, mortal? Agreed. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. was my plan. Very well. I hunger. Agreed. Death rages. Very well.
Our allies' hero
Agreed.
has fallen.
That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan.
Our hero has fallen.
Night beckons. What, mortal? You thought of that? What is it now? What, mortal? What is it now? That was my plan. Very well. What, mortal? I must hunt soon. That was my plan.
Our allies' town is under siege.
What is it now? Very Greetings. Soon. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? What, mortal? Very well.
Our hero has fallen. Our allies' town is under siege.
Night beckons. What is it now? What, mortal?
Our allies' town is under siege.
I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Very well. Greetings. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Agreed. Greetings. You thought of that? Agreed. I hunger. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that?
Our forces are under attack. Our allies' hero has fallen. Our allies' hero has fallen.
What is it now? That was my plan. What? I must hunt soon. Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan.
Our hero has fallen.
Night beckons. Greetings. I must.
Our allied town is under
You thought
siege.
of that. What, mortal? What is it now? Greetings. I must hunt soon. What, mortal? Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? Very well. Die. Greetings. What is it now? That was my plan. You thought of that? That was
Our
my
forces
plan.
are under attack.
Greetings. You thought of that? Agreed. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Greetings. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well.
Our allies' town is under siege.
What, mortal? You thought of that? I must hunt soon. Greetings. I must hunt soon. Death rages. What is it now? Very well. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? Very well. Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan.
Our allies' town is under siege. Our forces are under attack. Our allies' hero has
Please.
fallen.
You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that?
Our hero has fallen. Our allied town is under siege. Our allies' town is under siege.
Night beckons. That was my plan. You thought of that?
Our allies' town is under siege.
Greetings. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that?
Our allies' hero has fallen.
Very well. You thought of that? What? I must understand. Agreed. That was my plan.
Allies' hero has fallen.
You thought of that? That was my plan. What, mortal? You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? That was my plan. What is it now? Very well. Agreed. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. Very well.
Our
What,
allies'
mortal?
town is under siege.
Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. Very well. I must hunt soon. Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed.
Our allies' town is under siege.
What, mortal? What is it now? Ranges. You thought of that? What?
Our allies' town is under siege.
Agreed. Greetings. You thought of that? That was my plan. What, mortal? Greetings. What is it now? Agreed. Very well. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. What? You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. Plan. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. Death rages. You thought of that? I must hunt soon. Very well. What is it now? That was my plan. What, mortal? Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. You thought of that? Death rages. Agreed. You thought of that? Agreed. What is it now? You thought of that? Agreed. Greetings. Very well. I must hunt soon. Greetings. Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan.
allies' town is under siege.
Very well. What, mortal? You thought of that? That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Agreed.
Our allies' town
Very
is
well.
under siege.
You thought of that? Agreed. What, mortal? Very well. Agreed. I hunger.
Our allies' town is under siege.
That was my plan. What is it now? We must hunt soon. What, mortal? What is it? Agreed. That was my plan.
Our allies' town is under siege.
You thought of that. You thought of that. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. That was my plan. Very well. That was my plan. Agreed. You thought of that. That was my plan. Agreed. That was my plan. Very well. Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that. Very well. Agreed.
Our allies' town is under siege.
That was my plan. Very well. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. You thought of that. That was my plan. Very well. I must hunt soon. That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Very well. Agreed. Very well. That was my plan. What is it now? What, mortal? Agreed. Very well. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. You thought of that? What is it now? That was my plan. You thought of that? Agreed. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well. That was my plan. I must hunt soon. What is it now? Very well. You thought of that? I must hunt soon. That was my plan. Agreed. What?
Our allies' hero has fallen.
What is it now? You thought of that? Agreed. That was my plan. I must hunt soon. You thought of that? That was my plan. You thought of that? Very well.